Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson, that's Nathan Fox. We're the founders of LSATDemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. Today's Demon Daily comes from Michael. I'm assuming that's Demon team member Michael. Oh yeah, he's not only on the Demon Help team, he helps manage the Demon Help team.
Is the Demon Help team. No, there are a lot of awesome team members on the Demon Help team, but Michael does run that team very well. So thank you, Michael. So students often ask about seeing repeat questions. This comes when students have been with the Demon for an extended amount of time. Students manually adjust their test settings, or they see a question in class and then see it in their personal study. So we're going to answer some common questions, Ben. 1, why do these repeats happen? 2, should I do a question I've already seen? 3, will it affect the accuracy of a practice test or a timed section if I see a repeat question in the Demon?
Okay. Yeah, so generally speaking, when you're drilling, if you're doing questions that you've seen before, that's almost certainly because you have repeat questions turned on in your advanced settings. Because what drilling is supposed to do is looks at all the questions that you haven't done that have been assigned to drilling, and it gives you only ones that you haven't done. But I think what does happen sometimes is someone will do it in a time section and then they'll see it in a class, or they'll do it in drilling and then they'll later see it in class. And so then they're like, wait, I've seen this question before. Another thing that does happen is that a lot of questions on the LSAT are about the same topic.
Oh, yeah.
And people
think it's the same question, but it's not. There's also those questions that are the same passage and then 2 questions.
Yes.
They don't do that really on the modern tests, but they do it on a lot of the tests that are in the practice bank.
Yep.
And so you might see the same argument, but then they're asking you a necessary assumption of one of the speakers, and then it's the same argument, and then another question might be asking you for a method of reasoning used by one of the speakers or whatever.
Yeah.
There are those instances. Could it also be, Ben, because of the test numbering, the renumbering that happened with the tests?
Yes, it could be.
We're still only like a year removed from that. Law School Admission Council, in their licensing program, they went through and got rid of all the games, and so then they kind of cut and pasted and they moved around sections to create new tests.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a bunch of tests that were left intact. They just took the 3 relevant sections, the 2 logical reasoning and the reading comp, from those tests, and they for whatever reason decided to turn it into a 4-section test. And to do that, what they did is they took some tests and they broke them all up. And they took 1 section from each of those tests and put them into these, they grouped them with these other tests.
Yep.
And the problem with that is that some people have done those tests in one context and now they're seeing questions from them in another. Generally speaking, it shouldn't happen that often, but it can happen for those reasons. Next question is, should I do a question I've already seen? You don't have to, but you also can. It doesn't matter.
It shouldn't be that taxing. I mean, if it's like, oh, I remember the answer or whatever, okay, well, fine. I mean, do you understand why it's right, though? And do you understand why the wrong answers are wrong? And are you really sure, by the way, that that's the answer? And maybe before you hit submit, you could just double check. And then if you're sure, you're sure. Hit submit. Got it right. Okay, on to the next. Like, you don't have to worry about whether you should or shouldn't do the question. You just do it. Get it right. Move on.
Yep. Last question. Will it affect the accuracy of a practice test or timed section? It can. If you're doing a time section and one of the questions you come across you've seen before, you're more likely to get it right. You're more likely to take less time on it. That can change your score. But so what? The point of a test is not to get a score. The point of the test is to practice doing questions and getting them right.
Yeah, to practice ignoring the clock, right? To have that time pressure, but just ignore the pressure entirely. The purpose of doing timed sections is to practice hitting start and then turning off the clock and then answering the first question, solving the first question, and then solving the next question, and solving questions until you get that pop-up when 5 minutes remain. At that point, you should bubble in guesses for the remainder of the section and then practice just solving one more question without trying to race the clock during that last 5 minutes. 5 minutes is plenty of time to solve one more question.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough time to solve 7 more questions. Do one, maybe another one, then time's up. And you've efficiently used your whole 35 minutes by just solving one question at a time. That's something that you need to practice. Yes, if you've seen questions before, it mildly taints your 120 to 180 LSAT score or your number of questions correct on that section.
Mm-hmm.
But who cares? I'm just not that interested in those numbers for diagnostic purposes. I'm far more interested in you having a regular habit of sitting down for a combination, right? Everybody needs to be doing drilling sometimes and other times doing time sections.
Yep.
If you do that for a couple months, you're going to show progress. So yeah, for the purists, it really bothers them because it's like, no, I did a practice test, but I had seen a couple of those questions before. Yeah, okay, so your 165 maybe is more like a 163.
Yep.
Who cares? What did you learn? Let's start working on reviewing the ones that you've missed.
I just remembered one other thing. In drilling, there's an option to do only missed questions.
Oh.
And sometimes people turn that on and they don't realize it's on. And then, you're going to see repeat questions. And then you're going to
only see repeat questions. Yeah. Okay. So check those advanced settings. By the way, this is not related to the issue, but it is related to the settings. Frequently, people don't understand that you can drill questions by type in the Demon. I would strongly encourage everybody to poke around in those advanced settings because people think that there are missing features when actually you do have those features. We just kind of put them behind a layer of menus so that you'll do the important bit, which is basically just hit drill.
Yep.
And review your mistakes. But if you want to control the algorithm, you can. For example, if you wanted to practice doing some necessary and sufficient assumption questions, you could go in and narrow it down to just those types of questions.
Yep.
Anything more?
No. Email daily at lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.